welcome to another video breakdown. Today I'm going to be breaking down Tag, which is my most recent video, and I think the reason why I want to do this too is so I can actually show you some of the extended clips and what happens kind of behind the scenes. I hope that you guys can learn from this. I know for me, when I just go out and shoot, I learn a ton. First of all, for this video, we were required to do no dialogue and not act in it, which is something that both of those I've never done before. So the script that I actually have, so there's a feature film that I'm currently writing. It's a buddy comedy, but there's this specific shot that I wrote that I wanted to test, which was that slow motion fall with the police officer. The actual piece I want to do it's actually with a canoe and into a lake, and I was hoping to do the actual acting for it, but I just wanted to test to see how it would look. So for this slow motion effect, we actually shot at 120 frames per second. For those of you who don't know what that means, basically each second in film is a certain number of pictures. With normal film, for a normal movie like a Pulp Fiction or anything like that, you're gonna have 24 frames per second, which is 24 pictures per second. If you set your camera to 120 frames, that means you can put it in slow motion and it'll look much more fluid. 120 frames per second is actually pretty high. I want to shoot way higher when I do the actual feature for this. I don't want to be even remotely close to 120 frames per second. I want to be shooting 500 minimum, ideally 1,000. I want it to be so overly dramatically slow. The big issue that I found in that scene is there's some continuity errors and just how far away he is from the sled. Anytime I come up with these ideas for the feature piece, I do want to test them with a short film just to kind of emphasize how to do it. Something I do a lot in this is a whip pan, which I can show you clips of. Whip pans are really, really fun transitions, specifically in comedy. You could do it in drama. I don't know if it would work as well. I also had a whooshing sound effect to kind of have a feel to it, which it just enhances it a little bit more than anything. Right, I have a lot of Edgar Wright influences in filmmaking. A few other technical things that we did. So for the window paint, it's actually funny because one of my friends who has done some things, he goes, "That's not what spray paint looks like on a window. What did you use?" And I was like, window paint. So I literally just went to a Party America and I got window paint and I was writing on that just because it was easier. And then I took a spray paint can, which actually doesn't even spray forward, it only sprayed up. It was like a lawn thing. In post-production, I added the ball shaking and the tss sound. So that's basically how that was done. Nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated. If you watch the film, you can really tell. I was trying to avoid filming it as much as I could just to kind of focus on the characters and what was going on with them more than anything. For the actress in this film, I got this girl, Colin. Weird story about how I met her. She was on my Snapchat. I add random people on Snapchat sometimes just because I'm bored. I had no idea that I added her. I was like, "Yo, you wanna act?" And that was basically it. And she was like, "Hell yeah," and she did. That actually brings me to one of my least favorite shots in the film, which is actually her skating off. And the reason why I didn't like this, one of two reasons. One, I think it would have worked better if I showed her scooting off from his perspective or showed his reaction to it or something like that. So for the next time, I'm going to film more reaction shots from the other actors, just so I have something to play with and post a little bit more. So the reason why I don't like this shot actually is just because when she kicked her leg up, it didn't go as high as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be so melodramatic, and as a whole sketch, I was kind of playing idea-wise a little bit off of like a Charlie Chaplin type of vibe. So everything was supposed to be very melodramatic. And so I wanted her leg all the way up and her to be really sassy. It wasn't that she didn't do it, it was that I didn't tell her to do it. I really think I should have put that reaction shot in there or shot that from over his shoulder to show her leaving him a little bit better. I think that was a big area I can improve on. With the actual car shot, the master shot of the car when he steps back. So I actually wanted to frame this perfectly in the rule of thirds, but what ended up happening was I wasn't paying attention and the shadow of the boom mic got into the shot, so I had to scale in, basically just kind of remove the viewer from that. So Jake was my main actor in this. He was actually my third actor for this role. So I had one girl who, after about 2 days, texts me and goes, "Actually, I think we have artistic differences. I don't think it's gonna work out." My second guy, The day before the shoot, so I shot on Friday, and on Thursday I texted him all the details of like, hey, be here at this time, food for you, stuff like that. And he goes, can we do Sunday instead? Friday doesn't really work for me. And for anybody out there who doesn't understand this from a filmmaker's perspective, that is not okay. Just because this isn't just making a small sketch, this is getting a sound guy, a camera guy, me, just like everybody you need. I had a total, I think, of 8 people. When you do stuff like that, the director of the film is scheduling around everybody's conflicts. If you know you're not going to be in a film, please let people know well in advance, not a day before. So that's what I give props to the first girl I had acting. I actually, in the original script too, there was no female. Basically just started from the point where he was spray painting a car. And it was just supposed to be him spray painting something and a cop catches him, and then there's a chase scene afterwards. My writing teacher said, I want you to go a little bit deeper with these characters. I want you to make a fear, a flaw, a want. Like, why is all this happening? And so I just added this little bit to the beginning, which was just basically him getting his heart broken, and I kind of flooded that into the rest of the story. And that's why if you watch the film, you can see that it's actually kind of 3 separate things. It was the effect that I wanted to do for the feature film, it was the chase scene, and then it was him getting his heart broken, and that's within 3 minutes. It still worked. It wasn't really an issue. Jake is an incredible actor. I love working with Jake, just because every time I tell him to do something, he knows exactly what I'm thinking of, and he just does it. Now, to the opposite side, Harry, the guy I had playing the police officer, Harry, he actually did the voiceover for my sketch, for my emo rocker sketch, which was just kind of something that I was just throwing together as a fun thing on the side. It was originally like a Snapchat story that I just turned into that. For those of you who don't know Harry, Harry is one of the funniest people you will ever meet, and unintentionally so. He's not trying to be funny, he just naturally has this hilarious personality that you can't really even explain. But the moment when he runs up to the door and he's running just in place, I didn't tell him to do that. He just did it. And he opened the door and went in, and if you play the audio out even a millisecond further, you hear me and Thomas just losing our shit. So my DP that I had, Thomas, he's a really, really talented cinematographer. He was able to actually do a lot of these camera techniques that I was like asking for, which is different because if you watch a lot of cinematographers' stuff, what they do is they kind of just like, they'll film in the trees and they film very beautiful shots. That's where, for me, because I'm more of a comedy type of guy, whip pans and distance shots and stuff that's not necessarily beautiful. So that brings me to my favorite shot of the whole film, which is actually the shot that Thomas helped me. So what I wanted originally was just them running through the field at kind of a decent distance, and he goes, yo, it'd be way funnier if you went way farther out. And so that's what I did. I sent them, we were literally shooting from the opposite side of the field with Jake and Harry running. And if you play the clip out, actually, it's really funny because that was our only take. And I actually, for the second time when they do it back in the other direction, I just reversed the shot so they're running the other way. And you can tell if you actually look at the background, but it's not really that noticeable. I think it's one of the funniest shots in the whole film. I'm really, really happy with that. I had also a bunch of other shots that I was just testing around with. We had one where they ran around the cul-de-sac, and Harry, instead of just stopping him right there, actually ran around the whole cul-de-sac too. And it was funny, it just didn't flow in the same way. I don't know how to explain it. Something that actually nobody has pointed out to me at all yet, which is color grading. The only shot which bothers me with the color grading is the final shot, and it switches from black and white to color, so nobody's gonna notice it, and it's that quick, so it's very, very, very small, but it's still very poignant to me, and it bothers me. The color doesn't match the color that I had going on before. It is a very nice color, it's very, like, the colors pop out, but it doesn't match what it does before. And one of the problems that I have with that is you can copy and paste the color effects from one clip to another. Sometimes it doesn't work depending on your angle and depending on how much light is actually in the scene, so you have to with it a lot, and it kind of throws it. So I think that's why that shot in particular doesn't stand out. Some cool editing techniques that I've discovered in this process more than anything. I love sound effects. Sound effects are so nice, and especially if you find good ones. My favorite is the sonic. So literally when his hand hits the ground, I used a sonic boom, and I just turned it down a ton to kind of just have a boom, boom, like a type of sound. Like if you listen to it in full clip, it sounds like grass. Like it doesn't sound like this epic moment.
All right,
action.
sick.
I added whooshing noises to almost every single shot, just with the zoom ins, with the pans, all of that. The one big, okay, two continuity errors. One is relatively bigger than the other, and I guarantee if you notice them, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you probably won't notice them. The first one is when the police officer whips off his sunglasses. In the next shot, he puts them back on. Now, luckily, Jake's shirt is really red, so you kind of have your focus more on him anyway, so you're not really paying attention to that. However, it is something that I should probably pay attention to much more so in the future. And so if you actually watch, there's the rough edit and then the final edit. I'm gonna actually do another video about like what the difference between the two is. I would say most of the sound effects I added in post-production. The fart was post-production. The sipping of straw, that was post-production. I had a lot of post-production stuff. So keep in mind, like when you watch movies, not necessarily all those sound effects are actually coming from those characters, just because like it's really hard to get that many sounds all the time. And something that I would recommend to anybody out there, and something that I learned big time in this video, let people suggest things. Let people contribute to your piece and get them behind the vision of your piece, as opposed to being, it's all about me, it's my name, I want my name in the billboards, I want to be the next Tarantino. Like, who gives a flying f? Make a good piece, make people entertained, make people happy, make people interested in your piece. And the way you do that is by having a lot of people say their opinion. Now, as the director, do you have to say and agree with every single thing they say? Absolutely not. The song that I originally used was the song that I had at the beginning. Playing over the credits and his introduction. I had that for the chase as well. And so when I showed my friend, he goes, the song's not working, try the William Tell overture instead. And I did, and it worked so much better. It wasn't even like comparable at all. So that was a big thing. Show your piece to many people. Try to get many people's opinions on different shots, on different clips, because they have all these different perspectives. So you want these different perspectives in your film to enhance it as a whole. I'm very, very happy with this film. I think it's the first film that I've made where I feel like I'm actually moving towards a filmmaker direction as opposed to just being a YouTuber. The technicality of it is a lot higher, and I'm really liking it. I do want to spend a little bit more time behind the camera directing things. I do want to act as well, and I am acting, I'm doing both, but our final, apparently we're not allowed to act in either, which is just bizarre. Also, in this film, we used 0 lights. We used all natural lights for the entirety of the film, and I want to say that it shows because it kind of does image-wise. You kind of see things in a certain way. It's just getting people at this level to come be on your shoot who are good at lighting is hard. I had my sound guy, he literally brought lights too, but we don't know anybody who can operate them. Like, we know how to turn lights on, but to make it look like a good picture, it was coming out kind of shady. I actually sent it into 5 different festivals. I don't know if I'm gonna get into any of them, or if I get into all of them, or one of them, whatever the scenario is. I'm just kind of in the mindset right now of I'm gonna make a film, I'm gonna send it to festivals, then I'm gonna make my next film. So right now I just finished my script on my next film. I sent it to my writing teacher to kind of get some notes and some reviews and how to enhance the piece as a whole, make it better. It is gonna be a little bit more of a complex piece, so I am putting a lot more effort into it, and I actually, because of Tag, this is why I say this film did so much better than all of my other ones as well. I had multiple people messaging me saying that they loved it without me actually having to reach out to them and say, like, what's your opinion? Which was really cool, and I also had people sharing it, which was awesome. I'm really happy with that. One guy actually texted me and he said, yo, I've watched it 7 times. And that is a really, really good feeling. I don't know how to express that. The fact that he watched it that many times means that the humor really hit home, and that's what I am going for more than anything. So, interestingly enough, this film was not shot in a multitude of locations like it seems like. So the first shot is in my parents' living room. That's where I shot that, and that's where that whole scene happens. And then I basically moved to the front porch, and then she's right across the street. The car is actually parked about 15 feet away from where she was actually standing. Somebody told me that they could tell. I don't know, because nobody else said anything. I figured it'd be a more noticeable issue if that were the case. However, I do want to fix that going forward. At the same time, I do want to go, okay, well, let's just be a little careful. If somebody is noticing it, let's, on the next time, not do something like that. The shot at the park was literally at the park. You can see it through the window right there. It's not that far away. It's probably like 400 yards away. It's pretty close. And then after that, we drove into the neighborhood over there, and then just took a shot of them running across the street. And that was basically it for distances. And then the sled scene was actually on the golf course that is not too far. It's right over there. And then I just had him sled down the hill. So I originally wanted to do that with snow. However, all the snow melted like 2 days before that. And then on top of that, we had a blizzard 2 days after. But I still like it on the grass. I think with the geese poop flying everywhere, it made it way better. So my recommendation to anybody who's an up-and-coming filmmaker, make a YouTube channel and just try with that. If you don't have fancy high-tech equipment, I was using my iPhone for the first 30 videos I made. It was the last 3 videos are the only ones that I didn't use an iPhone for. You can definitely hear it in the audio. You can tell if you watch the old videos. These aren't super like high-quality film festival level videos, but at least it gets you to practice writing, it gets you to practice filming, it gets you to practice acting. Whatever you want to practice, you get to. And so this is a really big change now that I actually have a camera person who wholly wants to work with a camera. They don't want to be on screen at all. It's so different because I'm used to working with actors who want to be on screen, but they also realize they have to be on camera too because we need somebody to film it. For my videos, I would say this is definitely one of my favorite videos for sure. At the same time, I still like my other stuff. I can't discard my other stuff either. I just see much fewer flaws in this video than I see in my other films. So what I've been actually doing a lot of research on is professional filmmakers with these big time movies making continuity errors, making these minor mistakes here and there. Happens a lot. It happens a lot more than you would think, and it's these little things, like the sunglasses is kind of actually a big thing. The other thing, I don't think I mentioned this actually, the second continuity error that I made was he had a pen in his hat in one of the shots because he was actually writing on the shot list and like crossing things out, and it's in the shot. The shot is a millisecond long, and you pay more attention to his face than the pen in his hat. Be very careful of reflections. They happen a lot. So I'll show you in post right here. If you look at this shot, you can see me and Thomas, my cinematographer, in the reflection of the glass. And so the way I got rid of this is I took the same picture offline, which is, it's my family's company, so it's not really that hard to really do around this. And then basically I shrunk it, and then I just matched it with that to fit on that spot to basically cover that up. And then I turned down the opacity a little bit just to give that little glare of reflection. And now when you look at it, it looks like it's just part of the picture. But it is not. It is actually just a layer on top of it, which is, it's really nice that the shot was a still frame shot and not like a motion shot, and I had to have it for a split second or something stupid like that. Harry's sunglasses, you can actually see reflections of us a couple times in them. Not really that big of a deal. Honestly, this is a short film that I filmed with a budget of like 80 bucks. So, and it was my budget, it came out of my wallet, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I also know this video is long, but there's a lot that happened in this film that I really want to like expose to you guys. I want to show you guys why I was f***ing up and how I'm improving and what I'm trying to improve on specifically. One for me to identify where I need to improve, and another for you guys if you really think like this is what you want to get into, this is a really good thing, or if you're just kind of interested in what filmmaking is like at all. Because filmmaking is, it's one of my favorite things to do, but it is such an exhaustive process. Just to put in perspective, I wrote this script, I think, in about 15 minutes. Just because I stole part of it from an old script, and then I sent it to my teacher, He goes, I know you put this together really quick, but it's really, really good for that. Just add this here and here, add some character flaws and wants and needs, and it'll really enhance the script as a whole. So that's what I did. I haven't even shown him yet, which is kind of unfortunate, but he is one of my favorite teachers of all time. Just writing, he's such a good writing teacher, and it's awesome. So Grant Hughes, hell yeah, love Grant Hughes. Script writing, I think in total I spent about 25 minutes on, if even that, maybe 20 minutes. It wasn't that long at all. I would say 20 minutes might even be a stretch. It was a very, very short process. The filming itself, everybody got here at 10 a.m. and we were wrapped up by 1:30, so about 3.5 hours. A few of us got here earlier, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I did almost all of the pre-production myself, which was a lot of effort. I was getting a costumer, going to a costume shop, messaging everybody, trying to make sure everything was put together, and that's, of course, that's the director's job, so that's what I was supposed to be doing. That, I would say, as a whole, I probably put 4 to 5 hours worth of work. We were originally looking at doing a wall to spray paint, and I just thought it'd be easier if there was a wall with already spray paint on it. So me and my friend Tanner, we went over to this this basically like area where there's a bunch of walls that are just like graffitied up, and it looked really cool. I took a picture. It wasn't what I was looking for, so I just altered the script to actually have him write bitch on the window. I thought it was way better that way. Post-production, I would say, took 20 hours to 22 hours, something like that. Maybe it's not that long. I would say at least 15 hours in total. I also took the whip pans and I edited those. So the basic cut of a whip pan, so you can see it. I'll show you the clips, the full clips. So if you take this pan beforehand, where basically you're gonna have the camera guy at the end go and just pull it like that, then you're gonna go over to the next location, and when you start the shot, pull it in and then film it. And so basically what you're gonna do is, so when you watch it, it just looks like you just move the camera weirdly, and then you move the camera weirdly again. But if you cut it on the motion, you don't notice the transition. So that's another rule for anybody out there: cut on motion. So if you're moving, that's the best time to cut. So when the camera is moving like that, it's very easy to cut that and just make it flow very nicely. So that's what ended up working. My next piece, I'm definitely putting a lot more effort into, because I need more locations, I need more actors, I need more props, more costumes, so on and so forth. So I'm actually getting a pretty strong crew together for this. In the past, since I've released this video, I've gotten 4 different people reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to act in your film. Another kid said he wanted to be my artistic director, so he's going to help me find scene locations, and I love his sense of humor. I've been friends with this kid for a while, so I like where his vision is going, and so definitely on board. Another girl that I'm friends with said she would be my makeup artist. She's really good with gore and stuff like that, so I was like, hell yeah. Yeah, so thanks guys for watching. I hope you like this video. If you like it, like, subscribe. My new video should be coming out, I'm gonna say at the end of April, because the due date is like April 29th, so I think it's gonna be somewhere around there. Maybe I'll release it on Hitler's birthday. Da-da-da. I don't know. Thanks guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you guys could share, tag around, show people, I think that's one of my more proud pieces of work, and if you want a good laugh, go check it out. I'll leave the link in the description. Thanks guys.